Monday's meeting, Gao Shi couldn't help but explode in front of many colleagues. General Manager Wei Lingling deducted his salary again, the third time already. He slammed the table, emphasizing that the company's business contraction had nothing to do with his business capabilities. He passionately presented facts and reasoning, but everyone stared expressionlessly at the documents in front of them, not uttering a word in his support. A while back, Gao Shi had worked hard for business, even drinking 10 large glasses of white wine at a banquet to secure an order, leading to hospitalization. Despite his efforts, this time, due to someone else's mistake, his salary was reduced along with others. Therefore, he was not accepting it. Wei Lingling, with a cold face, told him to discuss the matter in her office after the meeting. Gao Shi, with a stiff neck, retorted, "Wherever we discuss it, the company is unjust. Even if we go to the company's top executives, I still won't accept it." After the meeting, he went to see Wei Lingling alone, and it was evident that General Manager Wei was still upset about the issue. Gao Shi sat there, unyielding and silent, as if engaging in a prolonged marathon of silence. Later, it was Wei Lingling who broke the silence. She asked Gao Shi, "You've been in the company for so long, how do I treat you? Don't you have it in your heart? Besides, several people know about our relationship. If I don't hold you accountable, how will others recognize it? Are you incapable of enduring a little injustice? Have I treated you unfairly in normal times?" Gao Shi was momentarily stunned, looking at Wei Lingling's exquisite makeup, suddenly losing his courage. Yes, the two were in a romantic relationship, not an affair. General Manager Wei was divorced, and Gao Shi was single, but for various reasons, their relationship was not publicly acknowledged within the company. They had been together for 2 years, and Gao Shi thought they were moving towards a more serious commitment. However, with the company's declining performance, he became Wei Lingling's scapegoat. 2 years ago, Gao Shi met Wei Lingling when he was managing a nightclub. At that time, there was an indescribable charm about Wei Lingling that attracted Gao Shi. Simultaneously, Gao Shi, with a tall stature and a striking resemblance to a certain celebrity, also drew Wei Lingling's attention. Like many ordinary men and women attracted to each other, they soon fell in love. Wei Lingling was the head of a local branch of a large company. Using her available resources, she arranged for Gao Shi to join the company's business department. Gao Shi worked hard, showcasing remarkable business acumen and securing a significant contract within the first 2 months. After a joyous occasion, she nestled in Gao Shi's arms, expressing her satisfaction and mentioning that if possible, she would recommend him to the company's headquarters. In the heat of the moment, Gao Shi took her words seriously. However, 2 months later, Gao Shi's name was not on the list of recommended personnel from the local branch to the headquarters. When he asked Wei Lingling about it, she affectionately explained that she initially wanted to recommend him but later changed her mind. She couldn't bear to see him leave. It would be better for him to stay locally, explore various aspects of the company's business, and eventually start his own business. She promised to use her resources to support him. The promise sounded promising, and Gao Shi was satisfied. Besides, he couldn't part with Wei Lingling's villa, luxury car, tender affection, and care. Although she was 6 years older, as women age, they become more compassionate. He couldn't let go of all these comforts. Unexpectedly, in the 3rd month, the company's performance declined again, primarily due to Gao Shi, who lost 2 major deals. Wei Lingling didn't mince words, criticizing him during the meeting and publicly penalizing him with a 1-month salary deduction. As colleagues exchanged glances, Gao Shi felt the heat on his face and frustration in his heart. Why? Last time, when the company's performance declined without his involvement, he still got penalized. This time, although it was related to him, why weren't other colleagues penalized? It disgusted him. Wei Lingling was clearly bullying him. This time, instead of waiting for Wei Lingling to finish the meeting and go to the office, he went on his own. Wei Lingling poured out her grievances, stating that many people in the company knew about their relationship. If she penalized others again, some might resist. In such a large company, she not only had to maintain impartiality but also be stricter with her own people. Listening to her, Gao Shi responded coldly, asking, "Who said that one's own people should be bullied? By doing so, you chill the hearts of your own people. Who will work for your benefit and take care of your business?" He believed his words would make Wei Lingling feel ashamed, but to his surprise, she said, "Honestly, we've been together for so long. Look, without me, you might still be managing a nightclub. I admit, your business skills are commendable, but that alone is not enough. What I particularly appreciate about you is your loyalty, especially to me." After she finished speaking, she scrutinized Gao Shi. At that moment, Gao Shi felt peculiar sitting in front of Wei Lingling. What was it like? It seemed like something, like a dog. In his angered thoughts, he'd had enough. Gao Shi decided to resign. Once the idea formed, events quickly unfolded, pushing him toward that decision. One thing that forced him to resign was a month later when Wei Lingling announced the creation of a new position in the business department with high commission rates but no base salary. The position was assigned to Gao Shi. Wei Lingling's justification this time was shameless. She actually told Gao Shi that the position was crucial, and she couldn't trust anyone else to do it, so she wanted him to take it. This was akin to fooling a child. Everyone knew that at a time when the company's business was declining, the guarantee of having business and no base salary was uncertain. When Gao Shi faced Wei Lingling again, he was extremely impatient. Wei Lingling, however, proactively stated that even without a salary, she would support Gao Shi. She emotionally said, "If you run out of living expenses, just ask me. Although my income has decreased now, I believe that as long as we work hard together, there will be no difficulty we can't overcome." In his mind, Gao Shi cursed, thinking, "To hell with working hard together, to hell with overcoming difficulties. I've had enough." He looked at Wei Lingling's face with immense disgust, wondering how he ended up with such a utilitarian, calculating, and repulsive woman. How did he fall for someone like her in the first place? He cursed silently and, with frustration evident, said, "I quit." When these words were spoken, he saw Wei Lingling, seemingly prepared for this, calmly ask, "Do you really not want to work anymore?" In his mind, Gao Shi cursed again, wondering how he got himself into this mess with such a woman, pragmatic, calculating, and nauseating. 6 months later, Gao Shi tried various ways to make a living. He opened a small shop, which soon went out of business. His attempt at a business partnership also resulted in financial losses. He even tried applying for sales positions in some companies, but most companies didn't hire him. He briefly worked at 2 small companies but quit after a few days. Incidentally, he learned that Wei Lingling had moved to the headquarters and settled in the provincial capital. Rumor had it she had married a high-ranking executive from the headquarters. Gao Shi thought coldly, this woman excelled at scheming, showed no mercy in her actions, and not only that, she spoke sweet words. Whoever married her had definitely taken in a disaster. Back when their relationship was strong, Wei Lingling even considered marrying him, dreaming of a peaceful and happy life together. However, during a chance encounter with an old colleague, Gao Shi hoped to hear that Wei Lingling had suffered after being abandoned by the executive, living a miserable life. The colleague seemed to understand his thoughts and said with a smile, "I heard she's doing well now, mainly responsible for the administration at the headquarters." Gao Shi was infuriated. How could a woman like her be doing well? He had treated her so well, even drinking 10 cups of alcohol for her business, diligently working in the business, worrying about many things. But why was life so unfair? After parting ways with the colleague, Gao Shi drank a lot and ended up singing in a nightclub. Later, he couldn't remember what happened, but he apparently got into a dispute with a group of people and, in a confused state, even got into a physical altercation. When Gao Shi woke up, he found himself in a police station's interrogation room, staring blankly around. Life felt like a dream. In the brawl, he had injured someone who refused to settle, leading to a 2-year sentence. During the liability determination, the police showed Gao Shi surveillance footage. He clumsily rushed into the nightclub, stood on a table in the front hall, cursed and insulted wildly. Later, he even took off his pants and urinated on someone passing by. When others tried to intervene, he indiscriminately swung a chair at them. It was inhuman. Gao Shi broke into a cold sweat watching it. He had no recollection of these events. In fact, not only did he not remember this incident, he had many unrestrained actions. What he didn't know was that Wei Lingling had long noticed all of this. Soon after they got together, Wei Lingling discovered Gao Shi's impulsive and reckless nature. His various bad habits from his early years of dropping out of school and venturing into society were displayed in front of her. He gambled, got into fights, impulsively lost memory after drinking, and spoke with profanity. He saw nothing wrong with it. Several times, Wei Lingling warned him, but he didn't care. Even during the incident where he drank 10 cups of alcohol for business, later collapsing on the street and verbally abusing passers-by, Wei Lingling saw him clearly. What disgusted her the most was that, using business as an excuse, he attempted to have relationships with female clients, something Wei Lingling absolutely couldn't tolerate. Her previous marriage had ended in divorce due to her ex-husband's infidelity, and she had no intention of going through it again with another unscrupulous man. However, she was also somewhat afraid of Gao Shi's extremism. Because Gao Shi couldn't see these things, he couldn't restrain himself. Gambling was explained as something all men did, fighting and drinking were seen as signs of a passionate personality, and flirting with others was considered a part of his nature. In his eyes, all of this was normal. What he didn't understand was that many people who have an increasingly better life can do so because they can see their own actions clearly. They use their knowledge, cognition, and widely accepted moral standards to better restrain themselves. 2 years later, Gao Shi was released from prison and opened a mobile phone repair shop. With his good technical skills and 2 years of tempering his character, the small shop thrived under his dedicated management. Another 2 years passed, and he found a woman who didn't mind his past and married her. They planned to buy a house in the city and start a family. If it weren't for a short story he came across on a social media platform, he wouldn't have felt a ripple in his heart. The simple story was about an elderly person who loved peace living in a large courtyard. Despite repeated requests for children playing there to be quieter, they continued to make noise. Eventually, the old person gathered the children and welcomed them, offering them 5 yuan each time they came to play. However, the amount gradually reduced, and when it reached 0, the children, feeling indignant, decided not to come anymore. The old person achieved tranquility. At first glance, Gao Shi found the short video interesting. However, as his finger was about to scroll past, a sudden realization struck him. A face flashed before his eyes, Wei Lingling. Did she use a similar tactic back then? Imagine if she had discovered his flaws and abruptly left him. Considering his temperament, who knows what would have happened? So, she employed this strategy, give a sudden burst of goodness, then gradually take away her own good qualities, making him feel unworthy and prompting him to voluntarily withdraw. This woman was too scheming. Gao Shi harbored some resentment. In the evening, a friend invited him for a drink. As he consumed alcohol, thoughts of revenge against Wei Lingling surfaced. He angrily thought, if I'm not living well, I won't let you live well either. Damn it, scheming against me. But after a few drinks, he observed the couple running the shop busily, and certain scenes seemed to activate a mental barrier within him. The owner greeted acquaintances with a smiling face, declined to drink with them politely, and the wife worked tirelessly, handing over a handkerchief when her husband was sweaty, or saying, "Leave it to me, how many times have I told you," when moving a table. The husband said, "Let me handle it," so naturally and warmly. His heart suddenly softened, and in the cold wind, he saw another version of himself, rationalizing the drinking version of himself. The last time he failed in opening a shop was because he almost fought with a customer. The failed business partnership was due to using some of the startup funds for gambling. During job interviews, he spoke without restraint. At the workplace, he couldn't maintain good relationships with colleagues and gossiped about the front desk. As he pondered over these past experiences, he wondered if he really deserved such a loving relationship. In that moment, he suddenly didn't want to cause trouble anymore. Lifting his glass, he slowly put it down and told his friend, "It's getting late, I need to go back and help my wife close the shop. Let's drink another day." As he stood up, the cold wind blew, and Gao Shi suddenly felt the air around him incredibly refreshing. He decided to reflect on himself and live in the present. If only he had known these things earlier.